Hello everyone. Here is the new bullet. And if you are not caught up with its new changes, here is a summary on what it has. New bullet jab passive, which activates whenever your opponent dashes. Anti-heal on M1s. And more block damage. At first glance, this does not look like much. But specifically for its new bullet jab, I promise you it's not that simple. The new bullet jab is an absolute scrub killer. Because his new bullet jab activates whenever someone dashes, a lot of players fall victim to this. Especially scrubs. Or in other words, players who aren't skilled enough. This style specifically punishes a well-known bad habit, which is using dashes harshly. And I am not being a bully to the people who have a hard time against bullet, but that's just the sad reality. If you are having a hard time against bullet, please use your dashes wisely. I have seen a lot of people just fall victim to this because they easily crumble when they get pressured, leading to them panicking and spamming dashes. Before I talk about how you can beat the bullet jab, I'll talk about how strong it is first. On the surface level, the bullet jab is simple. They dash, and you get an instant jab. That's it. It was not mentioned on the balance patch. But the bullet jab does increased counter damage, while his normal M1 does not have extra counter damage. If you're curious about how much damage it does, here is how much a counter bullet jab can do. It only makes it kind of deal the same damage as his normal jab's counter damage. But, landing a counter bullet jab does happen more often. So although the damage does look minuscule, it will stack up if your opponent decides to start panicking. And also a tiny bit of information about its range. The bullet jab does have increased range. And the range is comparable to long guard. So do not even try and walk your way out of the bullet jab. There's a handful of stuff you can do with the bullet jab. Like, you can chase backdashing opponents with it, which is pretty fun to do. You can also use it after you dodge attacks done after a dash. This is unavoidable. And your opponent cannot avoid this at all. Anyways, let's talk about ways on how to counter the bullet jab. I'll sum this up in 2 words. Stay calm. Always remember that the enemy bullet can and will not be able to throw an instant bullet jab if you do not dash. The enemy bullet heavily relies on you dashing. So dash less against it. And only ever dash when you attempt to perfect dodge it. Bullet's normal M1s that are not the bullet jab is pretty easy to dodge. So just dodge the normal M1s he throws. If you have a hard time doing that, practice doing it through experience. If you don't want to play the perfect dodge game against bullet, well then there is also another way for you to counter it without you just playing the waiting game. You can in fact, just dash after a dash to bait out or even perfect dodge the bullet jab. I already know some of you guys will say,
what if the bullet just bullet jabs early? He will just hit you before you could even dash again.
And you are wrong if you think that. If the bullet uses the bullet jab too early, he will miss that bullet jab. And if the bullet misses the bullet jab, it leaves him wide open for attacks. One of the best examples of this is Ippo's Dempsey roll. Ippo's Dempsey roll counts as a dash, which means that bullet's bullet jab does activate if the Ippo uses the Dempsey roll. But if the bullet does end up going for the bullet jab, it's not gonna end well for him. Most styles can just backdash after an M1 to avoid the Dempsey roll. But for bullet? Hell no. Using the bullet jab against the Dempsey roll is a death sentence. This way of countering it is locked behind styles with good dashes. Or average dashes if you time it right. So styles with bad dashes such as Hitman, Turtle, Iron Fist, Bullet and Hammer will have to rely on perfect dodging to beat Bullet. Anyways, here's me using Bullet.
無理だ。こっちに来んじゃねえ。ここは我慢だ。